Hey, don't know why I said it like that. Hey, Kate here. Let's talk Conan. Well, actually, before I talk Conan, I'm gonna talk me. I just wanted to remind everyone to follow the pod. I'm hip. And to check out my sketches and stand up on my YouTube. If you just search up Kate823, so KAITATE 2 and 3, you'll find me. You'll also find some other random stuff. And okay, that's enough about me. Let's talk Conan. Today I really wanted to talk about, I don't know why I said it like that. It's one of those nights, guys. I really wanted to discuss uh something that is very obvious and not touched upon too much, which is the format of Late Night with Conan and how impressive it is and what makes it different. So, immediately you already know this show is fucking insane. um it completely tried to break itself multiple times, and it was not afraid to step out of a box, which, you know, I love it. I love not conforming to a standard, especially within media, which is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, a form of art. Even a talk show can be artistic, and I think Late Night with Conan O'Brien really proves that. The point of being young is to try new things and is to experience life before you settle down. And I think, when you get a talk show at 30, it's gonna combine and it's gonna be a fucking mess and it's gonna be beautiful. So I really think Late Night with Conan O'Brien is just a bunch of young people breaking down and tearing apart the standard show format. They took a lot of risks using audience plants. I instantly think of Andy's little sister. I also think about some guest plants. If I recall correctly, in '93 they had a little boy come on whose parents were going through a lot, and he was, I think, half orphaned. I don't really know. Um, anyways, and probably one of my favorite aspects of the way that they tried to break the show was changing the room. This includes, this is like, hey, what if we took the show in a boat? Or hey, what if we were in a meat locker the entire time? And even, hey, what if the audience were just a bunch of kids? It's something that, as far as I can recall, incredibly stupid. I don't think a lot of other TV shows, especially talk shows, would ever or have ever attempted to do something similar or adjacent in modern times, and even in past times. I don't think anyone has ever said, "Hey, you know what a really good idea is? Let's get a fake meat locker and put our show in there, and only have our show be flashbacks because we are stuck in a meat locker after all." I don't think anybody normal is thinking that's a good idea. Anyways, it speaks to a dwindling breed of creativity. I really don't find myself watching too many late night or talk shows in general, because they follow just a boring format. There are so many late night shows, late night talk shows, but all of them just seem to play it super safe. It's like risk is out. But personally, I think we need to bring risk back. The core of a talk show is monologue, a game or sketch, guest, music, end. And since every single late night show follows this, it's just speaking to this concept of change being a dying breed. Everyone is like, well, this works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I mean, like I said earlier, this is like art. You're supposed to be creating and you're supposed to be coming up with new ways to entertain and engage an audience. And it just gets so boring. And it also doesn't help if you're an asshole, James Gordon. I don't think I've made this a secret. I want a talk show or a radio show one day. And I would want to challenge everything. I'm very much a what can I get away with type of person. And I completely attribute that to Conan's late night and talk show influence. When I watch a talk show, and maybe you'll agree with this, I'm not necessarily watching it for the celebrity. I actually hate celebritism. I don't see a point in making a big deal. Like, I care about personality. And I think the best way to see into people is by being silly with them. And this is exactly what happened with Conan O'Brien's late night show. They were constantly creating new ways to create silliness and chaos that not only impacted, a guest, but also the audience. Conan has spoken to this where he would try to get two guests that just had no business being together so that they would have to interact. Conan's team bringing on a wildlife expert and making them engage with Francis Ford Coppola. Like, those two don't belong together, but they're here, and we're gonna make them interact. Like, that's the type of thing that nobody wants to do anymore. It's all, well, these people are adjacent. We can get them together. Even with, like, the Graham Norton show, which is historically known for having the most fuck-ass couch alignment ever, but they all kind of belong together, and they're not really interacting in a way that causes and breeds silliness. And this kind of speaks to a topic where Conan and his team have really started to, especially in probably the last 10 years, embrace this idea that it doesn't have to be confined spaces. Right? The idea of filming an all kids episode, that's great. Like, that's great. Kids are always going to be funny. It's just who they are naturally. They don't understand how the world works. It's perfect. A weird idea like a meat locker is just it's just dumb. And if you know me, you know I love dumb humor. And the idea for filming on a boat, well, that's just chaos waiting to happen. So it's like, even back then, he and his team knew that the world was far more funnier than that studio. And I love how it's evolved over the years. You see it in his remotes all the time, right? His Chinese food delivery, UPS driver, he goes into the real world. And now we see it in Conan Without Borders / Conan O'Brien Must Go. These are all ways to meet people in their own bubble, and it's all super entertaining because the world is entertaining. I think, what I'm trying to really drive home here is a lot of talk shows are limited. You think about God, what is it? Comedians Getting Coffee, Jerry Seinfeld, or James Corden does, like, they sing, like they sing in a car. Like, that's just boring. You're not in the world. You're still in your bubble. You're not challenging an aspect of the natural world. You're just hanging out in seclusion, pretending that any of it is interesting. There's so much humor in the world, and I think it's always been Conan's delight to find it. I love watching old 90s episodes where they do these remote bits, and he literally has no idea what, like, they're only funny because they're completely chaotic. They're just standing outside of a courthouse asking, the judges voted? You agree with that decision? And that's it. They're just fucking around with actual people, and God, it's a dying art to do it properly. You have all these TikTok comedians, is what I'm going to refer to them as, where they go out on the streets and they harass people asking these questions over and over again, and it's not funny. There's no humor. It's just bland pseudo-activism or journalism. Like, I don't care if somebody prefers good economy over their left shoe. Like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in someone standing outside of a courthouse saying, do you agree with the judge's decision? And trying to get their story out of them so that you can fuck around with them a little bit. Give them a pat on the back, make them laugh, and have a good day. It's completely different to what is happening now. But I think how Conan's always managed to do it it's a beautiful way to include populations into just silly behavior. I think that's really what the world is missing these days. I think I say I think too much, is silliness. A lot of people seem to just be self-observant, kind of relying on themselves to be entertained by a phone or a book, not necessarily the person next to them. And I grew up understanding that concept, but it's also like people are interesting. Like everybody has a story. They're not always good people, and they're not always good stories, but everyone's got one. And someone like Conan, can bring out something funny. It's upsetting to me that so many well received comedians get a late night show and they just seem to waste it. I'm not going to deny a lot of people love celebrityism. That is why they tune in. They want to see their fave. And I get it. But at the same time, why isn't any modern on air show challenging it? I do believe one show that tried this was the Eric Andre show. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe it was on Adult Swim. And it didn't last too long. But that's the type of show that it's a fucking mess. And you have to appreciate the balls that it takes to make a mess, especially in that format. Change is scary, and wanting to break the format of something so well regulated, I get it. Right? As someone who hopes to have a show one day, I get it. You need to play ball to get in the game. But it's like, once you're in, you're kind of in. I think about Conan and the team back in 93, every other week was just like, oh God, we're not going to be here tomorrow. Let's just fucking do it. Full send it. And I so appreciate that. When you think you've got nothing to lose, you become a different animal. And I think in the comedy world, it's beautiful. As long as you're not like, a loser who has to rely on cheap shots. Anyways, one thing that Conan show wasn't afraid to do was to sort of tear away from the celebrity. Let's be honest, more often than not, they're quite boring people. They're talented and often easy on the eyes, yes, but honestly, I think I would care more to see if Amy gets her wonton soup because Conan is too busy talking to half of New York City than I ever would care about the 31st Jurassic Park prequel, sequel, or in-between cool. Like, I can't imagine caring about that. Especially when there's 8 fucking shows saying the exact same thing about the exact same thing. The focus of Conan's efforts belong on the obvious desire to encourage incomprehension. It is such an art form to destroy something beautifully. And for as long as I've been a fan, this has been how he plays it. It's an era of late night and talk show that seems to be gone. Until I get my show. If I get my show. The creativity it takes to make something beautiful out of destruction should not go unnoticed, unacknowledged. The whole team of writers and executives have to come up with a way to make it work. Because if we're being honest, I said it earlier, chaos is funny. Controlled chaos is funny. Pure chaos is agony. The reason that Conan did so well with random people in the street versus these TikTok comedians is he actually valued their laugh. Like, he's a freak, so he needs a genuine laugh. Versus these TikTokers who seem to just be, I want content. Give me content. I need something to clip. I need something that will make me money quick. And I think that's a bit of the art that I'm trying to express in the talk show isms. You just don't get it in that type of media on TikTok. It's very much just cash cow. One of the most famous things Conan's ever done are his remotes. I think some of the most underrated are his monologues, but I think the most famous are his remotes. And the reason people love the remotes is not just, oh, he's playing baseball. Oh, cool, he's learning how to snowboard. It's that he seems to find humor everywhere. And as someone growing up in a world that seems so negative, of course you're going to cling on to that. Because if he can find humor anywhere, that means it is anywhere. And I think a lot of people maybe perceive that as Conan is just fucking hilarious. He can make anything funny. And I'm not going to deny that. But I also think an element of it is his ability to just find it and play with it. I don't think it's always 100% win win for him. Obviously, we see a lot of his success, and sometimes we see failures when people just don't care about him. Conan Without Borders Cuba episode, where the host is such a straight man and just seems so fed up with him. And it plays beautifully, just as beautifully than if somebody was really into him and hyping him up, like in the Italy episode where he's in the coffee shop and the man is giving him his watch, his shoe, his mustache, his toupee, his, left front molar, everything. Both of those are really funny situations. And it's not just because, oh, he's being an idiot. It's because he's really good at finding funny in people and in moments and emphasizing, hey, this isn't normal, or hey, I'm an asshole. Probably one of the most important elements of Conan's entertainment history is this idea that, yes, this is a talk show. Yes, I interview celebrities. We have sketches. We have fun. But I also want to show you that fun is not limited. Fun is unlimited and you can find it anywhere, so long as you want to, so long as you're silly, and so long as you're kind. Very, very rarely do we see a hostile Conan. And hostility can be funny. I think of Billy on the Street, where he is antagonizing these people, he's getting them riled up, and it is funny to watch. But sometimes it gets uncomfortable. You think about how you would feel if somebody approached you screaming in your face with a microphone. You probably wouldn't feel that good. You might come back a few days later and be like, okay, that was funny. But you probably wouldn't feel good. Versus the Conan way, which is, hey, I'm going to be the bad guy. Or, hey, I'm going to be the idiot. I'm going to say the stupid stuff. And if you happen to be funny too, that's great. You're going to make my life easier. But if you're not into it, I'm going to find a way to make you into it. But back to my hate towards modern talk shows. You just don't see anything like it. A lot of talk shows are boring and just lack innovation. I know a lot of people like to clown on Fallon for feeling fake or whatever, but I think when you host a show like that, and there's not a whole lot changing over the last decade, yeah, it's going to start to feel fake. I mean, how many times can you hear Ariana Grande talk about an album before you want to put a bullet through your fucking forehead? Like, I'm sorry, I love Ariana. I don't know her, but she makes good music. She's very talented. She seems to have her life together. Great for her. Don't really want to talk to you about your 17th album. Sorry, just not really interested in that. But meeting somebody random on the street and having a conversation about something that I have no business asking you about, that's way more entertaining. And it's something that, a lot of people credit Conan for being inspiring and kind of giving them a guidance to, hey, we can make this work. This can be funny. And I just wish that someone had a talk show that was like, yeah, we're not just gonna do a monologue, sketch, guest, music, and we're gonna just fuck it up. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna bring our cameras downstairs. We're gonna go buy random shit for the audience. We're just gonna make a mess and hope to God that whoever is our parent figure will clean it up for us. That's what real television is about. I don't know if any of this made sense. It's been a crazy week. Yeah, but I just have to say, I really, really, really love this idea that you can bend the rules as far as you want. Just be creative and kind, and it will work out. You don't have to follow, you know, the play by play that everyone else has. Yes, it is tried and true. But what's the point in tried and true? A lot of people from my generation and the one just before it were so grossly inspired by the way that Conan and the team produced this show that they have gone on to have such successful careers being idiots. And it's brilliant. It's the greatest pyramid scheme I've ever bared witness to. And more people should join it. You should join it. Go be silly. Go make fun of yourself in front of people. Record it. Put it online. Let me watch it. I'll like it. I love making fun of people. That's my shtick. Anyways, I'll stop talking to ya. I've been yammering for well over my 20 minutes. Remember to follow the podcast. It's, just a click and it gives me a little bit of dopamine. Feel free to follow at Let's Talk Conan on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. As well as my YouTube at Kate23. That's Kaitate 23 on YouTube. I know I had a good time, and I hope you did too. Thanks for talking, Conan.